Have you ever wondered what would happen if some of the most iconic villains in anime spawned into the real world and had to work in the Amazon warehouse? You probably haven't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. From anyone who's never worked in the Amazon warehouse, take it from me, you never, ever want to go there. It's the most soul-sucking place you will ever have the displeasure of stepping inside of. You're working 10 hours a day, 4 hours a week. If we're not talking peak season, which is around the holidays and summertime, where that's bumped up to 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. And the whole time you're standing in one spot doing the most tedious task over and over like some kind of mindless droid. And that's how you feel too, you just feel like a zombie after a while. Sorting through thousands of items, placing them in totes and bins at your station. Every night when I got off work and finally got in bed, knees aching, feet sore, lower back screaming. And when I close my eyes, I can still hear the machinery, the constant beeps. Even when you're home, you never leave that place. I remember one time I was working next to this unc, right? He was African. He tapped me and asked me how old I was. I think I was like 19 at the time. He looked me dead in my eyes and told me something I'll never forget. He told me, "You're too young to be working in here. You should be out enjoying the world, enjoying your youth. Me, I'm already too old. It's too late for me. But it's not too late for you." Bro, this Amazon shit so serious, it got folks preaching mid-shift. Safe to say I ain't last long when I worked there. The first time I worked there, I lasted like a little over a month. And then the second time, it was only about like 4 months. But in the hypothetical world, but some of our favorite villains last longer than me. Let's find out. Set the stage. Let's imagine Sukuna, Dio, and Aizen all get transported to the real world separately. They're not together on this. They're not here at the same time. Quick spoiler warning for JJK. If you haven't read JJK, maybe skip ahead like 30 seconds. Oh, wait. Y'all good? You sure? Alright, so boom, look. They all been transported after their defeat. So after Yuji kills Sukuna, after Jotaro kills Dio, and after Aizen is sealed by Uehara. And this is the afterlife. Punishment for their sins. And what worse hell is there than working a job, trying to make a living in this economy? And yes, Aizen wasn't killed, but let's pretend his soul was sent here after he got sealed for some reason. Look bro, I don't know, I'm trying my best. Let's not get too hung up on the logistics of this hypothetical. So upon their arrival in the real world, Kogani, I think I'm saying that name right, the Shikigami from the Culling game informs them what is going on. This is their hell. They must live among regular civilians and not bring them any harm. If they can do it for 4 months, they still have all their powers and abilities, but they can't quit, get fired, or kill anyone, or they will fail and be stuck here. Obviously all three aren't happy with this, but they reluctantly accept as they all want to get sent back to their realities. Kogani then explains their identities have already been curated with bank accounts, credit, and an apartment already set up. Now all they have to do is find a job, and naturally, he want a job as quick as possible. One Google search leads them to Amazon, a place that will hire any and everybody on the spot, and you can start as soon as the next day. So they all head to the warehouse to do their drug screenings that same day. They sit through the most grueling hours of their life in orientation, then boom, they're already on the floor as soon as orientation is over, because that's just how Amazon does things. But how does their first day go? Let's start with the King of Curses. He walks out on the floor into his workstation where his trainer assigns him the role of picker. Now what a picker does is stand at a workstation with a bunch of totes and a display screen in front of them. Next to them is this big open floor with shelves of items on top of little robots that pull up to your station. The display screen tells you what items to look for on the shelf and where it is. You grab it, scan it, put it in a tote, the next robot pulls up, yeah, you get the idea. But how does Sukuna do? Well, while the trainer is training him, Sukuna is ignoring him and doing the job really well. This dude ran the fade with his entire verse, he can handle sorting some items. After about a minute of his trainer yapping, Sukuna interrupts him, telling him he has 5 seconds to get out of his sight. And just then, the trainer feels a sharp sting on his cheek. A cut appears just deep enough to draw blood. Scared shitless and confused to what just happened, the trainer scurries off. Sukuna continues his work, hating every second of it. After all, this guy thinks everything and everyone is beneath him. But his pick rate is through the roof. He memorizes every shelf instantly, moves at inhuman speed, and doesn't get tired. He's the best employee Amazon has ever seen. Managers see his pick rate on their tablets and decide to go check him out. They walk over and watch him in awe, cheering him on in classic corporate fashion. The kind of cheering that pisses you off more than anything else. It just feels like they're telling you, good boy, be a good little slave for us. It takes everything in Sukuna's power not to hit them all with the dismantle, but eventually they tell him keep up the good work and leave. After a few hours, his trainer comes back and nervously tells him it's time for lunch and to come back in 30 minutes before hurrying off again. Sukuna shuts his station down and leaves the warehouse. He later comes back and signs into his workstation like nothing happened, only to be met with his trainer nervously asking him where he's been. Sukuna dryly responds with he was on break, and the trainer reminds him break was supposed to be 30 minutes and he's been gone for 3 hours. Sukuna just replies with, "What of it?" The trainer, being scared shitless and also knowing Sukuna is an incredible worker, just reminds him in the kindest way possible to please be back in 30 minutes next time and leaves as quick as he can. Sukuna then continued his work for a while before the sounds of laughter caught his attention. Across the workspace, he sees the managers hold up and talking and laughing and not working like everyone else. This angers Sukuna and he walks over. He demands to know why is it that everyone else works like peasants and they get to stand around doing nothing. They're caught off guard being confronted like this, and one of them explains they have different responsibilities like overseeing the workspace and making sure everything runs smoothly. Sukuna doesn't like that. As we all know, he doesn't respect any hierarchy that doesn't revolve around power.
Any hierarchy other than strength is worthless.
So he shows them true power. Yeah, the entire warehouse is gone. Sukuna didn't last a full day. Now how does Dio, formerly known as Dio Brando, do? Well, for starters, we know he's picking a night shift for it. Obvious reasons. He walks on the floor with his trainer where he's assigned the role of packer. His role is self-explanatory. He's packaging the items and sending them down the line. Just about the final step of the whole process. This is the guy who's responsible for what's inside the box that shows up at your doorstep. He gets to his work area, and unlike Sukuna, who is working pretty much in seclusion, there's a long line of people both to the left and right of Dio. While his trainer is demonstrating how it's done, Dio stands there, arms crossed, seemingly unreceptive. The trader notices and suggests that Dio gives it a shot, thinking he's more of a hands-on type of guy. Dio then coldly replies with, "Absolutely not. You're going to continue to do the work for me." The trainer gets nervous and awkwardly laughs, hoping it's a joke, telling Dio he can't do that. Just then, Dio manifests his stand in the world and aims to land a fatal punch to the side of the trainer's head, only to stop just a few inches shy. As he remembers why he's doing all of this in the first place. No one can see the stand obviously, but the trainer felt the strong gust of wind generated from just a punch alone and the pure menacing aura emanating from Dio. His heart races as he has the strange feeling that he was just mere moments away from death. Dio curses Jotaro's name under his breath before begrudgingly packing his first item. The trainer gives him a shaky thumbs up and a quivering smile before leaving immediately. Dio then decides if he's going to do this, he's going to be better than everyone else. So he used the world to stop time, packing multiple items before time resumes again. He does this all night, and just like Sukuna, his packing rate is impossibly high. A manager notices from his laptop and walks over. Astonished to see an item packaged and sent down the line in a blink of an eye before he even saw what happened. He goes over to Dio and tells him good job and to keep up the good work with a pat on his back. His smile drops as he looks at his hand and sees blood splurting where his finger used to be. Someone's grandma is going to be in for a surprise when she opens her package and finds a severed finger next to her jar of vitamins. There's a brief pause because of the commotion, but ultimately everyone resumes working. Because one guy losing his finger isn't enough to delay the big Bezos from getting his pockets fed. The rest of the day continues uneventful with everyone being too scared to interact with him. Dio goes home and in a blink of an eye comes back 14 hours later to do it all over again. He can't believe that regular people do this essentially for their whole lives. If he's going to do this, he decides it's going to be on his own terms and he decides to take a different approach. Remember, Dio is extremely charismatic. His extreme confidence, intelligence, presence, and canonically good looks is the reason why he had devoted followers. And people that admire him such as Vanilla Ice, Enya the Hag, and almost even convinced Polnareff to join his side. He uses all his persuasion the second day, and before the shift is over, he has the entire bay wrapped around his finger. He doesn't even have to work anymore. Co-workers doing it for him, managers giving him a pass when he's caught lounging or coming back late from break. He basically owns the place. The days pass by, days turn into weeks, and by the end of the month, he's already a supervisor. This situation is nothing to him. This is the same guy who pretended to be Jonathan's friend and brother for years, just for some sweet revenge as he slowly poisoned his father. He has no problem playing the waiting game. One day before he leaves for work, he finds an envelope that was slid underneath his door. He sits down and opens it. It's an eviction notice. "What the hell is this?" he says. Kogane appears and tells him he didn't pay his rent, and he responds telling her, well, pay it, since Kogane handles the finances. Kogane then explains Dio has insignificant funds. Given he works at Amazon and makes a little over $500 a week, which is nothing in today's times. And on top of that, he bought a coffin and sleeping during the day, and those things aren't cheap. Dio, who was last alive in the 80s, was misled thinking $500 was a lot of money. Furious at the humiliation of possibly being thrown out of his house, and working a job 40 hours a week that basically pays him nothing, he storms off to the warehouse. Upon arrival, he again relies on his persuasion, walking up to his manager and tries to convince her to pay the remaining balance on his rent, and to up his pay at least double what he makes now. Dio, while being very persuasive, he doesn't have mind control. She looks at him like he has two heads and refuses. It's important to remember part of the reason why Dio is so good at persuasion is the fear factor that comes with him. All of his devoted followers in the JoJo series, while having admiration for him, also feared him. They had some idea of how powerful he was in a way that these Amazon employees do not. She tells him to get to work, and there's only so much disrespect Dio will tolerate. Furious, he gives her the Kakyoin special and punches a hole through her chest. Dio lasts 1 month at Amazon. Aizen, Mr. Aura Man himself. He's took over Mundo, commanded the Espada, no diff to Gote 13, but he's never faced a challenge like this. Can he survive Amazon? He arrives on his first day, Koyuka Suigetsu on his hip. Of course no one can see it because he uses its release ability. Everyone who lays eyes on him is under complete hypnosis, and if he doesn't want them to see his Zanpakuto, they won't. His trainer informs him his role is Water Spider. A Water Spider's role is to go around and support all the other employees, making sure they have whatever supplies necessary to do their jobs. Of course Aizen doesn't do this job, but everyone in the warehouse is under complete hypnosis. In their eyes, not only is he doing the job, but he's damn good at it, while also being extremely likable. Much like Dio, Aizen has the entire warehouse wrapped around his finger, but the difference is, Aizen did it before it was even time for lunch. Dio is intelligent and persuasive in his own right, but Aizen is another level. With his genius intellect and manipulation so powerful he could convince you that the sky is purple. Aizen owned the entire building as soon as he stepped foot inside. Pair his intellect and manipulation skills with the broken ability of complete hypnosis. He was promoted to supervisor within 2 days, but he doesn't stop there. Aizen is a genius. He learned the ins and outs of the entire system inside the warehouse within a few minutes. Much like Mundo, he conquered Amazon. Not only did he make the system more efficient, he boosted morale and productivity rates throughout the entire building. Aizen quickly became area manager, then operations manager, then senior operations manager, and before the month is over, he was the general manager for the entire district. Not only that, his district was the best performing district in the entire world and had the best quarterlies Amazon has ever seen. This gained nationwide attention, and Aizen is already shaking hands with the higher ups. It goes without saying Aizen is rich and already beat Amazon, but we both know he won't stop there. Aizen is a victor. He decides how the world shall be rather than how it currently operates. He refused to live in a world ruled by the Soul King. And who is the Soul King of Amazon? Of our world? That's right, Jeffrey Preston Bezos. He manipulated and hypnotized everyone he needed to until he stood in front of the man himself. He formed a close relationship with him. Close relationships with his friends and family. He put thoughts in poor Jeff's head and made him believe that they were his own. By month 3, Jeff Bezos holds a press conference, announcing Aizen to be the new CEO of Amazon as he steps down. Aizen said it himself.
I alone will stand at the top.
And he does just that, completing his 4-month sentence in this hell we call the workforce before returning to the Bleach universe. I'm a grown-ass man screaming in the mic about fictional characters working at Amazon. I gotta lock in, bro. Regardless, I had fun with this one. If this does well, maybe I'll make a part 2 with different villains, or maybe have villains in a different job or something. I don't know. I guess this is the part where YouTubers say like, comment, subscribe, you know, all that engagement bait stuff. So yeah, I really don't have anything else to say. So go on, get out of here. Go do something productive, like watch another one of my videos. I'm such a fucking chud.